to the regular meeting of the Ojai Arts Commission, Thursday, May 16th. We're going to start with roll call, please, Will.
Absolutely, Chair. Chair West.
Present.
Vice Chair Steiner.
Here.
Commissioner Grau.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Commissioner Leeds. All present. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They don't teach it anymore in schools.
I
was rushing.
Well, there's the old version and the new version. Somebody bless America. Okay, we have any public comments for items at all?
We have no public
No
comments.
public, thank you very much. We're very pleased to present our regional librarian for our Ojai Library. Please come up, Ron. Ron Solorzano is going to talk to us a little bit, and this is just a delightful way that we've been kicking off meetings this year. Welcome, Ron.
No, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have gotten the invitation. I always love talking about the library, and yeah, I just want to take some time and I'll share some of what we do over at the Ojai Library, and particularly emphasizing some of the things we have that are maybe more about the arts than the other stuff. Although everything is about the arts in one way or another. So yeah, I am Ron Solorzano. I got a job with the Ventura County Library System about 10 years ago. I started out as a library technician working down at the E.P. Foster Library in downtown Ventura. I was there for about a year and a half before they promoted me up here to Ojai, and so I've been here for maybe 8.5 years. And just working with the staff up here in Ojai. We've, over the years, some have come and gone, but it's a really great team down there. Right now we have our youth librarian, Blanca Ramirez, is someone that, is there quite a bit. She's been coordinating a lot of our new youth programming. And, it's a great staff, it's a great community, and again, I'm so pleased to be here to talk about it. Next slide, please. So I was told there'd be a little lag. It's all right. All right. So the Ojai Library is, as I mentioned, it's part of the Ventura County Library System. There are 12 branches in the Ventura County Library, as well as a mobile library and offices, administrative offices down in Ventura. The Ojai Library has the fun distinction of being the oldest member of that system. We were the first to join that county system, and the Ojai Library itself, though, existed even before that. The very first library, the first version of the Ojai Library, was built back in 1893 and was actually at a different location. It was in about 1928 that we moved to the current location. Although at the time, in 1928, the building didn't look exactly as it looks now. It wasn't until 1981 that the extra annex got added on the north end that extended the footprint of the library and took us to the version of the building that we all know today. The pictures that I have here, first of all, I really like the one on the left that just kind of has one of our alcoves there in the library. I just think with the lighting coming in the way that it was, it's just a really great shot. But I also want to point out that highlighted in this picture are, you can see the hanging pieces of art. This is something that we had been partnering with one of the local schools to have their student art be displayed in the library for a certain amount of time. So we would do that sort of regularly based on whatever projects they had. Usually the teachers would be working usually with a local artist on a particular type of style or a particular medium, and then have the kids kind of create their own art along those same lines. And then we would, show it in the library, and sometimes even have a little reception at the end when they were all ready to come claim their pieces again. So yeah, that's a nice interior shot. And then the other one here is the Ojai Library sign. It's I don't think we have an official name, but it's the Reading Child sign is what some people will call it. The sign itself was originally created and donated to the library back in 1930. And given how long ago that was, it's kind of interesting that it lasted as long as it did. When I first joined the library, within about a year, some high winds toppled the sign, which was unfortunate, but gave us a nice excuse to refurbish it. We got it, treated, cleaned up, and remounted, and so it's still there, the original sign today out in front of the library. Next slide, please. The sign is actually just one of a few pieces of sort of iconic Ojai Library art that we have gathered over the years. The first I want to talk about here is the chair there on the left, the mosaic. That was donated back in 2005, and it commemorates Charlotte Bronstein, who was a big figure in teaching children around Ojai. And the chair was created by an artist recently passed, Marilee Eaton, who did a lot of repair work on the chair over the years. It's a beautiful piece, but of course, like anything, it wears over time. So we were able to have it maintained over the years, and we're looking into ways to continue that into the future. But it's a big draw. People will still come specifically to the library asking about that chair, and so we'll take them to the secret garden out back and show them where it is, and people take pictures with it, and it's just real exciting. I want to jump now to the far right. What we're looking at there is a relatively new addition, the peace pole that was built and then installed in 2017. That's a piece that similarly is kind of mosaic art style. There's a few other pieces around the library that share that sort of theme. But the peace pole was someone actually just came to us and was asking if it was a piece we might like to have on the grounds, and the answer was yes. And so we, had a little bit of a discussion, figured out what it was going to look like, where it was going to be mounted, and it's now part of the front courtyard out there. That courtyard, it's always available for people, especially during nice weather. We'll have folks out there. We don't use it as much for event space now that we have our meeting room, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But it's a really nice addition to that outdoor area. And then speaking of the outdoor area, the middle picture here is perhaps our most recent addition. This year, actually, the Friends of the Library worked with a few entities, including, I believe, this commission, on planning out and securing this sculpture. The sculpture is called Sharing Knowledge. It's, as you can see, 2 children reading on a bench. And the Friends of the Library were particularly enchanted by the idea that this could be a piece that we could have on the front-facing side of the library to, draw attention, bring people in. There was a private donor who was kind enough, again, in sort of acknowledgement of another local figure in Ojai, to donate some additional funds to get it mounted, and all of that. And it's only been, I think, maybe a few weeks, and already, again, we're seeing a lot of interest, people walking by, people taking pictures with the thing, and it's really great to see people engaging with our grounds in this way. So just very exciting stuff overall. Next slide, please. So inside the library, we have a lot going on as well. We have a lot of different activities that we put on for people in the community. In particular, during COVID, during the lockdowns, we really amped up some of our more passive programming and things like take-home kits with activities in them. Those kits we've continued to design and put out, and the idea is that it's generally about flat bag about yay big, and the idea is that it has within it materials and instructions to do a simple craft. We have ones that are tailored for adults. Some of the examples here are from that. For example, the one in the lower right is a coffee watercolor kit that we put together recently and have out. So yeah, again, the bag is going to contain maybe some of the coffee, a couple of brushes, and some paper, and then everything else is the customers and our users are able to take it and run with it. What we're seeing in this particular case is not staff samples, which we usually will use, but these were actually pieces that members of the public brought back to share with us that they had made. So that was really exciting. On the far left, we have a folded book craft that we did, which I think that might have been a kit, but it also might have been something that we did in the branch. Some of our other take-home kits have included things like window decals of mandala designs that people can color in. We've also done various paper crafts, some things that people will cut out and fold, or origami that they'll just fold themselves. The central two photos here are actually not from kits, but from activities that we're doing in the library. Recently, one of our staff members took it upon herself to pilot a program, which you may have seen or heard about before, the Wonder Workshop. I think I've mentioned it at a few council meetings recently, but the Wonder Workshops are weekly activities that take place on Sunday afternoons in the library, and they are designed as time for adults to come in and work with staff on specific craft projects. So the one kind of middle right is Coptic bookbinding. It's a specific way of binding a book, and this is actually the staff sample. One of our staff put this together, but it's a way for people to craft a book that they can either craft something blank that they then want to write in, or it can be something that they're crafting that is more like a scrapbook that they're just kind of putting together. And then the other here is visible mending, which is basically people can bring in articles of clothing or other things that they want to mend. And so this is an example of some of that having gone on at one of those activities. You can see some of our participants in the back there. But these are all, again, programs that we're putting on at the library. These are facilitated by staff. In addition to the take-home kits that I've mentioned for adults, we also have kits for children. A lot of those are put together collaboratively with our other youth librarians in the county system, and they're designed around topics relating to STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So there'll be some sort of craft. Again, there'll be instructions in there, and then people will be able to take them home and work on them. Next slide, please. So speaking of children, these are some of the things that we do with the kids at our library. The one on the left here, this excited young one, is holding up the result of one of our perler activities. If you're not familiar, perler beads are these little beads, colored beads that people can use, and the idea is that children will design. They'll make a design based on the colors, putting them all together onto a little frame so that it holds the beads in place. And then when you heat it up we use a little hand iron. You heat it up, melts the beads together, and what you have as a result is a piece of work that they can then just take home with them. Some people will make little critters like that. Some people will make other shapes or trees or, landscapes or just colors that they put together in whatever way they want. The Perler Party is actually goes on weekly, and it's something that we are integrating into an evolving program that we have that we're calling our Enrichment Center. The Enrichment Center is designed as a sort of after-school timed activity for students and other children to come in and take part in engaging activities that are going to help them do things like crafts, work with their hands, think about design, think about, art and the other STEAM topics that we might have focused on that week. But it's something that we can just do on a regular basis and bring people in and mix it up, come up with new ideas and so on. So we're really excited to have the Enrichment Center begin in earnest. Our goal is the next academic year. In the middle here, we have another craft activity that we did. Last Halloween, we put out a call for children to participate in a haunted house building activity. And the way that we did it is we had a certain amount of supplies available that people could take home. Again, like maybe you take a bag home and it's got some cardboard, it's got some poster board, maybe some glue and other things. But then we encouraged people to also supplement with whatever they had and put together a design and bring it to us. And we had a little contest where we decided which of them we wanted to honor with different little award names. I think we ultimately made an award for every entry. But it was just it was a blast to judge those and see. It was one of my favorites. That yeah, someone just they made this and submitted it as part of the contest. It was really great. And then the right-hand side, I mostly included this for the little characters, but the right-hand side is another one of our regular activities for youth. We have doodle time, where kids can come in and we just put a bunch of paper out on the tables and they just draw. And, you know, it's one of the things that we do that is, you know, it's relatively simple. It's relatively, you know, low impact on us staff-wise, and so we can just do it, and people love it. People come and they draw, and you know, we do this at the Ojai Library. They also do it down at the Oak View Library. I know it's very successful there as well. So, yeah, we're just you know, keeping it going. And again, these are mostly these three activities actually are all thanks to Blanca Ramirez, our youth librarian. So, next slide, please. Some of the other stuff we have going on that's kind of just more activity-based, we do regularly have Lego play time. Every Friday we'll just put a bunch of Legos out, and again, kids will come and they'll just build, and sometimes they'll you know, build something like a noticeable, recognizable thing like a car or an airplane, and then sometimes, you know, you'll see something and you'll have no idea what it could possibly be, and then they'll explain it to you, and it always makes sense when they finally do tell you. But it's a great thing to see. It's again consistently popular. So again, simple though it may be, it's just a way for kids to come and be creative and you know, mix it up a little bit. In the middle, this young one has it's hard to tell, but it's a kite, a fish shaped kite. This actually, I think, was a result of one of our kits, but in addition to letting people take them home, we sometimes also have a facilitated time for people to come in and work on them in the branch. So this little one has, he's proud of the kite that he just made. And then the picture on the right here is one of the other activities we have for, I guess this is technically not for adults, but most of the participants are adults. This is the Ukulele Club. The Ukulele Club meets on Monday mornings at 10 a.m. And they'll come out, and we have a couple of loaner ukuleles that people can use, but it's a program facilitated by a volunteer of ours. And it's, you know, it started out sort of as a, you know, come as you are, join us, strum away, you know, beginners welcome. And, you know, beginners are still welcome, but this group that has kind of continued over the years at this point, I think maybe it's been a couple of years, they now, you know, they'll meet on their own outside. They've had some gigs around town, is my understanding. Like they'll perform at various events and in various venues, and you know, it's just great. So, you know, we get to start our Mondays with some nice ukulele music, and you know, we get some people asking us, you know, whether the library is still supposed to be a quiet place, and we just tell them the library is here for people to use as the community wants, and sometimes that's loud, sometimes that's quiet, and you know, our goal is just to make sure that it's available for people, whatever it is that they want to be doing. In addition to the Ukulele Club, we also have other groups that meet. There's one, the Shakespeare Salon meets a couple of times a month. We have a climate crisis themed book group that will meet also a couple of times a month. We have various knitting groups. We have just a whole bunch of people using the space. Both the library space and the meeting room, which actually, yeah, next slide, please. The Ojai Library, again, maybe a couple of years after I started, so it's been a while now, but the Friends of the Library were able to finance the rebuilding of the structure next to the library. That is the Twice Sold Tales bookstore, if you're familiar with that. And then if you enter the bookstore and go towards the back of the building, there is a meeting room in there. It's got a capacity of about 39, and it's got equipment in it to project onto a big screen so people can present, people can, you know, we're thinking of starting to pick up again. We used to show movies. We're thinking of doing that again, but we also have story time in there. We have various activities that take place in there, and then it's also available for the public to rent. The room can be rented for, you know, $25 for up to 3 hours. There's a deposit as well, but basically, you know, we have members of the community who are interested quite often who will come, you know, they just come to the library, contact us, we look at the calendar, we get it all squared away. So it's a space available for the community, and a lot of groups use it for a lot of different activities. These these activities here are actually library-sponsored things. These are presentations that we have, a couple of them, East and West and Lion Tamer Memoir. These are things where a local author had come to us and was asking, hey, can I come to the library and talk about my book? We get that a lot, and we are always happy to accommodate. And so we'll put together a little flyer. We'll usually try to get an announcement in the paper, and then the room gets set up, and sometimes they'll bring a presentation just like this, and they'll project it onto our screen and chat a bit. So those are always great. It's always nice to hear from some of the locals who are writing and producing in the area. The one on the corner, the Tibet's sacred textile art, I think this is, I forget if she was really local or maybe just Ventura County local, but this is someone who was coming to talk about some of the art that she had done in her travels and to present on that. And that was, I think, also a pretty successful draw for us. And then the last here, the Who Wrote Shakespeare. I like these because these actually, this is one that was done in partnership with CSU Channel Islands as part of their library lecture series. So we had one of their professors come in, and he gave a presentation on the topic of who was actually the one who authored Shakespeare's plays. So I actually learned a lot. I think I had conceptually known that the authorship was contested, but I didn't know the degree to which it was contested, and I certainly didn't know some of the possible other candidates. So I think that, the space, the way we're using it, the people we can bring in, it's just always so exciting. And we do our best to kind of get the word out, but we could always get the word out more. So just, always happy to, again, do things like this and help spread the word. Next slide, please. So this kind of takes us to the end of the presentation. I always want to emphasize that I'm always available for questions, either in a format like this, or you can, contact me, come by the library, like anything that you're interested in. We're always open to it. And then the last thing I'll say is that this painting here, I want to say 1985 or so. The artist was someone named Blue Hessek, is my understanding. But this is a painting that, just depicts the library. It's been a long time since I've seen the courtyard that crowded. But it's just another piece. Like, people are familiar with this work and this image, and they'll come to the library to try to see it. We actually, I think, got it printed on cards at one point. It's just, to me, it's another example of how, like, even though, again, sometimes we struggle to get the word out about what we're doing, at the same time, the Ojai Library is very, very well loved by this community, and we feel it. We really do. I mentioned there are 12 branches in the county system. Out of those 12, the Ojai Library has the third highest circulation out of that, and that includes, like, downtown Ventura and the Hill Road Library, or the only ones above us.
Circulation
Of books. So we circulate books.
Really?
So that much. So we're talking about all of our other branches in the county. Ojai's up there. We're really in it. So people are coming, people are using the space, and we just couldn't be happier. I'll stop there. And again, any questions that you have,
Thank you, Ron.
now or in the future.
I
thank you
just,
so much.
I'm going to get to the other commissioners, but can you give it, I think I know the answer, but now you're going to correct me because I don't, is the relationship, it center of information, and you have brick and mortar, which is wonderful. We want that, for all the arts in Ojai, not just literary. Well, as I see, you extend beyond literary for sure. Could you give us a quick sort of, where is the county, where is the city, where is the unincorporated, and what do you serve, and what are the resources available, if you can do that quick?
Absolutely. So the short answer is the county library serves all of the cities that have opted into the county system, as well as the unincorporated areas. So for us, as an example, Ojai, the city of Ojai, works with the county to provide library services. So the Ojai Library is one of the county libraries. But then if you get into, say, Miners Oaks and Oak View, the unincorporated areas, those are also county libraries because the county is taking care of the unincorporated areas. So there are other city libraries, like in Port Hueneme, in Ventura, Oak Park, that are part of the county system. And then there are unincorporated areas like Piru and the Solis Library in El Rio that we also serve.
Who owns the land and the building?
It varies. It
I
varies.
mean, here in Ojai.
In Ojai, I want to say, the county has Ojai.
County owns it?
Yeah, the
Okay.
county
And
owns
you're a
Ojai.
county employee?
I am a county employee,
Okay.
yeah.
And I think I got everything else except, oh, there's a new arts and culture department at the county. I didn't know if where in the county does library come? Who's your boss?
So my boss is the director of the library, but I believe the director of the library is then reporting to essentially the board of supervisors from there. The library is a county department, and so yeah, we're not necessarily under another department.
Because there is a new division. We
Yeah,
met them,
I'm not-
arts and culture. David Yoshitomi was here last week, and
Oh,
it'll
that's
be
great.
interesting at the county level
Yeah.
to see how library and the arts
Yeah.
intersect. But,
No, absolutely.
Commissioners, you got something?
Please. I was just going to say, how could the Arts Commission help you in your vision with the library? I mean, understanding that it's county and we're a city commission, but how can we support you in getting the word out for your activities?
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, a lot of my success with getting the word out has just been kind of word of mouth. So being an entity that you all have in mind and are thinking about, if something comes up and someone's like, hey, I'm looking for, I'm looking to use a space for, a presentation I'm going to give, you can think of the library as an option for that and maybe let them know. We don't particularly have specific projects going right now, but, just the idea of, in the future, if there are things that we're wanting to advocate for or projects that we're looking to promote, like knowing that we can potentially come to you all for help with that could be very good support as well. You can always also connect with the our friends group, the Ojai Valley Library Friends and Foundation. There are, a huge supporter of the library and again, very much involved when things like advocacy are coming up. And again, just being connected, I think, is a great support. Knowing that we can come to you with anything that
I
comes
checked
up.
out 3 books yesterday for my granddaughter, and I was so impressed with the ease of that transaction. It was just, whoop.
We're streamlining every way we can. Everything that we can streamline frees us up, even if it's just seconds, frees up our time to focus on some of our other projects. And so everything we can do, it all connects back.
Christine, you?
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to thank you, Ron, that it was so interesting. I enjoy your presentations to the city council, and I know that those are broader in scope, but it's so exciting to see all the activities you're doing for the visual arts, for the literary arts. It's really quite impressive, and thank you. Will you come back and talk to us another time?
I mean, absolutely. Just let me know.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Karina, did you have something?
I would echo the same. Thank you so much. I'm really astounded and impressed by all these programs. All free, I assume,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Incredible.
Yeah, everything is free to the
About
public.
how many kids do you think participate in these activities on average? Do parents drop their kids
Yeah.
off and go get
Well-
coffee, or what does it look like?
If the kids are over a certain age, we don't mind that. But no, usually, in my experience, the parents are with the kids, engaging in the activity with them, which is great to see. It really is. We do keep statistics on numbers. Off the top of my head, it'd be hard to say, but I will say we fill the space.
Right.
So, it's a comfortable amount. Obviously, there's a point at which we might run into space problems, but no, it's great to see the families coming together. And even if there's not something specific going on, just to see people come in and use the space, use the early literacy center, use the manipulatives there. It's all great. And also, I want to mention, because I've mentioned Blanca twice now, and she would be very mad if I forgot to mention that our summer reading program just started, which is another thing that we do every year. The program this year started yesterday, May 15th. It's going to run through August 4th, and that's something you can either log in through our website or by coming at the library. And children can log the minutes that they're reading in order to participate in the program. And there's actually also a program for adults. Adults can register and log the books that they read. And in both cases, there are prize components as well. And there's more information on all that on our website also.
Ron?
What is your website?
Yeah.
The website is www.vencolibrary.org.
What I want to know is that a county hosted site that kind of reaches out to, I see you smiling like
That is a surprisingly complicated question.
Yeah, no, it's not.
In short, we will contract with companies to host our websites. So
the
we're not.
Ojai Library has its own website.
Ventura County Library has its own website infrastructure.
And is it the same one used by Port Hueneme and Thousand Oaks?
It is the
or-
same one. So Port Hueneme, yes, but yeah, Thousand Oaks is
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the ones that's
Opt out, yeah.
But yeah, and the reason I'm also chuckling a little bit is because we're actually in the process of moving to a new website infrastructure. So in the coming, things move a little slowly. So maybe the coming months, you may see some changes to the website. All positive, we hope. But yeah, we want our website to be something that people can interact with in a meaningful and easy way. The URL won't change, but the infrastructure.
I'm asking because part of our arts plan here at our Arts Commission is to try, and we met with the county people last week, is to try to spend technology. We need technology to almost do anything these days, and we want to spend our money wisely. So I may ask you to, I may talk to you about what's going on at the county level at the library and the
Anytime.
systems, and if they integrate with the other county systems, that sort of thing.
No, anytime,
Yes, David.
absolutely.
I want to thank you, like everyone else, for this really interesting presentation. And I really applaud the scope, the broad scope of your activities. Children, adults, all kinds of levels of engagement. It's really wonderful. And I think it's the kind of thing that the community as a whole would love to know more about.
Yeah.
And I think being in charge of communication, I would like to see the Arts Commission communicate with you about some things, and some things that may involve some publicity favorably for you as well
Yeah.
as the commission.
No, absolutely.
I got a picture for you. Okay, well, thank you, Ron.
Thank you very
And
much.
You're welcome to stay or you're welcome to leave, but,
Well, I really
library,
appreciate it. Thank you so
wow.
much.
I think Ben Franklin invented it, didn't he? You and Ben Franklin. All right, our consent item, I think we're gonna pull and discuss because I know we have some changes on the minutes from, last month's meeting.
Yes.
Christine, please.
Do you want me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. So, well, overall, the minutes look good. Thank you, Ron. Have a good evening. There were just a few points as it is slow to load my corrections. But one I know, if you take a look at, where are my minutes?
I think this should be the first, this should be the first
Take a
page
look at
after.
comments, yeah, first the comments, we seem to have conflated the comments with the public presentation. So 3 should be public comments and it should be none. As I recall, there were none in the room, and also you clarified that there were none online. And then item 4 should be community presentation by the Ojai Music Festival's Bravo program. And the name of the person is Laura Walter, not this Laurel Crary. So it's Laura Walter. So that's going to be item 4.
Sure, so I can make that adjustment. However, we didn't have presentation agendized in that meeting. So this is just following the flow of what the agenda was for the meeting. We didn't have presentation built in, so we just added them into our public comments
That's the typo.
section.
That's what, got the name
Well, I
wrong,
don't know
think.
why, we have, it should have been there because we do presentation, community presentation every month.
Yeah,
Oh.
we
It
didn't,
will be from now.
yeah, we just didn't have it set beforehand. That's why it went out the way it did. Yeah,
Okay, well,
will be changed moving forward.
What else you got, Christine?
okay, so, the correction to the name, what I'd rather see, because I thought that presentation was so impressive, I'd rather, if you would go back and listen again so that the second sentence can say, the organization offers education through music classes on a weekly basis, comma, holds free concerts and then whatever else they did in that impressive list of information that Laura provided. And then if you could conclude by saying that, which we did, that the commission thanked Ms. Walter for her many contributions to the Bravo program. And then, if you can't separate out 3 from 4, then moving on to 4, the consent items. That's so in both 4 And also 5, I don't understand where it says votes, colon, and then our names, and then the ayes, the noes, the abstains, because what we know from that vote is that it was 5 ayes under both 4 and.
Apologies, that's a typo. I'll
Is
fix that.
All right,
Yeah.
okay. Because I wanted to be clear that we were unanimous in all cases. And then, and I'm sorry for the length of this, but I think it's important, under 5, the copyright discussion, I'd like it to say, which is consistent with the record, Vice Chair Steiner led a discussion of the importance of artists retaining copyright, and I can give you this information, if you will, and describe the provisions of the federal law, the Visual Artists' Rights Act, VARA, and the state law, California Art Preservation Act, CAPA. This is especially important for Ojai as it views itself as an art city and therefore must support the rights granted artists under both federal and state law. I think that more accurately describes our discussion. And then the motion, and thank you for bearing with me, this is my last comment. The motion expressly, and I'm looking now at the second line, provide recommendation on behalf of the commission to city and city attorney. It was expressly to both the city and the city attorney regarding all future public art contracts. Next sentence. The commission, I would delete would like to recommend, because we didn't like to recommend, we expressly strongly urged. So I would like it to read, the commission strongly urges that all artists should retain copyrights, et cetera, to the balance of that sentence. And then you'll fix that typo on the placement for the votes. Okay, and I'm pleased to forward this to you.
No, thank you, Christine, for pointing those out. Does anyone have a different recollection of those things? I'm going to make a motion that we accept the minutes with corrections for Bravo's spelling, elaboration on the program they presented to fix under the consent items, the ayes 5, the legal copyrights discussion as led by Commissioner Steiner under the action items there, and then the last one was, there was some elaboration, I'm sorry,
The motion itself.
the motion itself. I didn't capture exactly what, can you just, I'm going to move that we, can you,
Yes.
what was the essence of
The commission strongly urges that all artists should retain copyright for their works and that artists should retain all rights under the Visual Artists' Rights Act and the California Art Preservation.
So there's an urgency, and my last part of the motion is to express, because I remember that, if everyone else does too, how much we urge that as we move forward. So, do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
All discussion, all in favor of accepting the minutes?
With that amendation, aye.
Yes.
And Will, would you circle those back again to us?
Yeah, so I'll recycle those back and we can have a conversation
Okay, I'm
beforehand.
going to move on to our discussion items here. The budget. Now, the way I'd like to do this is, first with just a little primer that staff and I have had some discussions in the past weeks about, kind of the way we've been operating. We're unique in that we have a budget as a commission. We're unique that we have a kind of a plan as a commission that we're trying to execute. And, the circumstances of turnover at city staff and all too, and a new management, we're going to tighten things up and make them coordinate better. In that regard, in the past, we've kind of operated where we have assumed that in our 6 different divisions that we put in our plan that, it took a year for me to convince you how to do it, and now I'm going to undo everything I've just done, Commissioner Grau. But it makes sense. It will be that any expenditure that's where a recommendation is needed by the Arts Commission, it will be agendized. Will and I are working on a working agenda that'll be kind of a living document, so every time we see something coming up, we get it on there. But when we do make an expenditure, in the past it would just been for grants, but now every expenditure that is made, realizing that it's city or council's money, not our money, it needs to be, we need to know, for instance, if it's for an event, we need to know the date of the event, the location of the event, the person receiving it, and the amount of it. If we, this will be something we're going to do at every meeting. It could be consent items that we move through quickly, but it can't be, for instance, what I've been telling you guys to do is to, your year's running out, spend your money, you know what I mean? And even though we have good plans and ideas on how to do that, I've been assured by Will that there's strong support and there is funds for the arts in Ojai, and it will just, as we're all catching up and learning and addressing some of the issues Councilperson Rule came up with too, to make sure that we do agendize everything where there's money being spent. So I think we can make that flow, but it'll just be a little different system. The two new commissioners, it won't seem new to you because it's, but I apologize to Commissioner Grau in advance for finally training you to do it the wrong way.
Well, I have a couple questions here,
Good.
okay? Because, I have a couple questions here because, I had scheduled an enrichment seminar that got canceled due to the situation. And then I also went out hustling to get mentors set up to use to be,
Yes,
to receive funds
Yeah.
before the end of this fiscal year.
beautiful work.
And now, what I'm understanding is that's off the table?
No, it's not off the table, but
Because if I agendize it tonight,
it just,
for next
I'm just saying as we budget going forward, okay, and then I'll come back and ask tactically, but as we budget going forward, still the items have to be agendized and communicated to the public and voted on in public, even if it's by consent item. In terms of something that's going on right now,
correct?
same rules apply,
So
okay?
how would
So we need to agendize, you're going to tell us about this later.
Okay.
I think you're going to give us an update on the mentor program. So I'm actually releasing some of the urgency from it, saying
okay.
that if this happens at next meeting, it'll happen at next meeting. If it happens at the meeting after that, it'll happen at the meeting after that. But let's try we need these things to be agendized in the future.
Well-
This was going to be later.
I was told that I needed to hustle to get this done before June.
Right.
I have.
Yes, you have.
But now, what you're saying is, when it's my turn update, do I announce what I'm,
Now, we're going to actually we have to put it on the agenda for the June meeting,
okay,
where the money's going, who it's going to,
okay.
what is the nature of it, and or where will it take place? Maybe ask
I
them
do,
Will.
so right now, I think we do have this as an item later on in the agenda that we can discuss. But
Okay.
where we're currently at in the agenda, we have to focus on the budget discussion.
Okay.
So once we get through that, and I think that we are discussing as a commissioner update today under your category, and then we can have that discussion then.
But we wouldn't be able to vote on that today.
No.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Yes.
Like we discussed before.
I'm just trying to answer a question. I'm setting the stage here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'll
for bringing
discuss
me
some of
back.
that later as well. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing me back, because I'm trying to just sort of set the mood here for this little budget discussion. So what I would like us to do, you'll have a green sheet, which is actually not going to be clear, but I have the numbers, and they're going to add up correctly. I'd like each of the commissioners has a sort of an area they're responsible for, and I'd like to just go down them, discuss them, talk about our projection kind of for next year, and come up with respond to some of the things I think you fed us here.
And if I may, just before we start, as I mentioned last meeting, if any of the categories seem unclear, as I think Vice Chair Steiner mentioned last meeting, that she would like to maybe potentially rename or reorganize some of those, we can work towards that.
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
And you see,
In
I
fact,
eliminated a few.
Because our plan has 6 categories, I'm going to kind of petition accounting or whatever to, kind of put those in the same categories as well. But I also understand from what my discussions with staff is that this sort of, the budget is more money to spend also extends in the other direction too. That if something came up during the year that perhaps was not budgeted for, there could be some discussion about whether or not, I mean, it would have to go to council, but
Yeah.
whether it can come. So so it's not cast in stone. It's kind of rolling forward. Okay. And what I'm gonna do one at a time here is go down the divisions we've created, if you don't mind, which will be grants, technology, public art, education, communication, and commission health. All right. The easiest one and the biggest one, and the one that's I hope we fight for, is our grants. All right. Last year we spent. It says 29,850. You can see on your sheet there. It was actually 29,850 plus 400, so it was 30. I'll remind you if you don't know what that 400 was. 250, 30,250. Is that? Okay, so 30,000 last year. I know that in the grants awards last year, we had record number of applicants. We had a record amount of money that we awarded. The impact I've just seen in the community over the last month since the grants have been awarded has been wonderful. I see, I'm the Ojai Community Chorus circus concert is this week. I happen to be working with that and watching it, and it's amazing. It's at the Methodist Church Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. I know that is anyone? I just want to mention that everything's very well received. Everyone's been very polite. There were people that the Arts Commission denied grants to that were granted to by action by City Council. But I want us all to feel positive that we've given back to the community $30,000 directly to arts and arts organizations. It's flowing through our community right now. And we should be very proud that we've made that occur. We're going to try to. We're meeting with council. Council sounds like my attorney. We'll be meeting with City Council to discuss once again our plan and our new ideas about how we award those, whether it's through ad hoc committee or equal distribution to anyone who applies, for next year. But I'm confident that we can come to understanding with better communication. Excuse me, David. So therefore, I would like us to have a discussion just right now, kind of, sort of, Commissioner Wright will kind of, we'll look at you anyways too, for that we spent $30,250 last year. What would you guys like to see next year? May I call on you, David?
I would absolutely like to see more. I think it's one of the most important things we do, has the most direct effect on the community, and as much as we can get, I'd like to see.
Do you want to talk about it? Boss?
I would just definitely want to point out that we will probably get a lot more applicants, and we should really fight for many more dollars. Especially, you'll get to this, our meetings last week with all the organizations, and we need to really support this robust arts community. It's essential to our economy, to everything.
Right. In our plan, it's listed as how can government support arts, and we get all fancy with our ideas and our plans and stuff like that, but it's like, what is it, UNICEF, one of the aid organizations says, give the money to the moms because they know how to spend it, because they'll feed the families, you know, give it to the men, they'll try to double it, and it won't happen. But, right, give it to our artists, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
anyone else have anything to add? I think we all want to give as much as we can. Now, please, Pamela.
Well, I would like to see us go back to merit-based projects
Mm-hmm.
and not just throw it out to everybody who applies. And I
Mhm.
think that, I see where we went wrong this year,
Mhm.
but I also see that giving important projects less money did impact in a negative way our community.
Mhm.
And I would like to see that corrected next year.
Right. I'd like to think that our plan has that
Yeah,
in
no.
place. We have to advocate for our plan with council so they better understand how much thought and how much shared direction that when we say merit-based, we're saying this is how to best help the community during our giving back, and to best spread it among the different avenues of art, you know, from filmmaking to literary, and to do it in a way that both supports existing programs that are important and also seeds upcoming things as well in an even hand. All that is written in our plan, so we're going to fight for that. We're not going to we're not changing our plan and our grants plan that was developed last year on the basis of us having failed to communicate it effectively to the council.
I'm curious about something, and this may just be a wild card idea, but is understanding that the city has limited funds to put into the arts and has many other projects that are as important, is there any way that we could fundraise or do some sort of event to raise money for having
Happens to
more money
also be in
give?
our plan is to look at that types of things as
Okay.
well, you know, or, you know, I could see someone applying for a grant to do that even. So, David?
I think that's a wonderful idea, Pamela.
No one has told me that there's nothing more important at the city than this, and they want to spend more. It's all I hear, so I'm not afraid to ask.
Well, we have
I
potholes.
also strongly believe that merit should be reintroduced as the
Mhm.
primary
Yeah.
criteria for this. And I think also there should be more Arts Commission involvement in the selection process.
Mhm. Good, I know
It's
council
fundamentally what we
will
do and what
say
we're
that
supposed to
too.
do.
There are council
And I
people
think
that will say that,
There
yeah.
should be
Mhm.
at least one or maybe two
Beautiful.
more commissioners involved.
So the other thing I want to point out is that we did get a big kick last year, but there had been no increases for, it was either 8 or 10 years, does anyone remember, at all in grants prior to that. So there was like kind of a catch-up since the Arts Commission was created, or the grants program was created, so 15 years ago. I don't think, you know, it pales compared to some of the other activities that we're doing for community here too. So I was going to,
If I may,
Question.
yes,
I think we both want to say
oh, please,
something,
Go
if
ahead.
I may.
Commissioner Steiner.
Thank you. I agree with both Pam and David that it should be merit-based. In fact, that was the point I was going to make. In fact, I think it must be merit-based, contrary to the observations of certain of our council members who thought all applications were good. In fact, it was clear that some applicants spent many, many hours on those applications, and some applications were shockingly lame or lazy. And to put them all in the same category, or to have it appear that we were putting them all in the same category, I think is unconscionable. And that is one of the reasons there was such great distress in our community about what happened with City Council. And so I agree that there's greater attention, which means I believe that it's going to encourage more applications, and I think we should push for as much money as we can. Frankly, I would double it, and I would go to City Council and say, your actions last time engendered this kind of attention. We certainly have the support within our community, and we thought we were where we should be, steady state, but clearly we need more money because there's going to be more interest. I'm almost finished, but not quite. What I'd like us to do in that regard is when we look at the applications, assuming successful applicants in our view last go-round, those 10 of 17, I believe, who submitted good applications that we approved, I'd like us to exempt them from the onerous application and simply ask them whether they have any update on their activities, whether they are asking for the same amount of money as they requested last time, because I'd like to give them a reprieve from the terrible situation we all found ourselves in last time. And then my last point is that in this go-round, there were some individuals awarded grants. I'd like to make it clear, because we have so much activity through community organizations and such exciting activity, that it should be through community organizations, not individual artists.
Thank you.
So I'm making, to recap, I'm making 3 points. Merit-based, exempting those deemed favorable last time from an onerous application process, and making it community organizations only.
Chair West, if I may, just for a moment.
Yes, Will.
So as we move through this list, just as a reminder, none of these items are agendized agendized
Absolutely.
individually.
I totally
so
get it.
we need to discuss just the dollar amount and what we'd like to see move.
I
Move that we table it. No, is that right? I mean,
well, there's nothing to table, but
right, I'm
tell,
sorry.
what
I was
are you
just-
thinking about?
I'm sorry.
Just tell me what you're thinking of, or was,
First of all, as Will just said, I wasn't aware that we were having a discussion on how the grants were going to proceed this evening. I'm glad to hear all these ideas, but regarding the money, what can we do? I like this idea of doubling it.
Let's double it.
I just was curious if there
okay,
was some
well, what I'm
kind of
gonna,
historical structure of asking for more money.
all right, I think Pam wants to triple it, all right. What I'm going to be doing
You don't want
is,
to appear like some of these grant applications.
now, there are,
Unfounded.
You also don't want to appear
yes, David.
that we're recklessly, jumping up and
Right.
doubling a number to the city
Right,
council.
so what's
I think
what's
I
a
can address
reasonable
that. All right.
incremental
Yes, I think that would-
addition to
I'm
our
gonna pull this
grant
back,
budget?
pull this back here too. This is our chance to have publicly expressed, publicly discussed what has happened, what we project for the future, our optimism. We're a nice, healthy, full arts commission right now. If the city is going to invest in arts, like I know the council people do, or the people do through we hear through the council members, we want them to trust us. Well, I would say want them. Why they should trust their arts commission to do this types of distribution. The council could easily just say, "Oh, we'll do 100,000, but we're in charge," or something like that, and that's all of a sudden we're not in charge anymore, too. So at the same time, I don't want to go into a how hole right now, as we call it, how we're going to do this. I want to again just express that this is, is important. So in my discussions with staff and council, we're going to be asking for twice as much, but we're going to be also justifying it and putting the proper fences around it that needed to serve the people best. So I thank you all for your passion, and that will be expressed. We're not voting on an amount or requesting an amount right now, but
I have one more comment, which sprung up when Christine was
yes,
talking,
Pamela.
that a lot of these applications, you're only allowed to apply 3 years in a row. Is that correct?
Well, it's our plan to eliminate that, but
Okay.
At least eliminate for this year.
merit-based.
Right, that's what I was gonna say.
Merit-based means merit-based, merit-based doesn't say only 3 times or something like that.
I do think that's part of a larger discussion, because I have a lot of ideas on that as well.
Beautiful.
Regarding giving grants more than 3 years to some organizations, because maybe after 3 years, at that point, they should be able to get funding from other places.
But
So
because of
there's-
this last year, because of this year, a lot of
Right,
We're getting,
so-
again,
so-
we're in a little how hole right
And the
here
re-
too. I trust us to come up but what we also have to consider at the same time is we have to communicate this effectively to council so that we do it so it works. We're not here to just wave flags and yell, okay? We want to make it work too. So that will mean us listening to them and seeing, you know, how they want to use their Arts Commission in the grants program, so.
And Chair, sorry, one more point
Yes,
on this. So I know you
Will.
just mentioned that you didn't want to provide specific funding requests today. As we specified last meeting, and I think we talked about the meeting before that, we will need the funding recommendations today specified
From
at
this meeting.
to
Okay.
be able to provide those in time to be presented at the budget.
Sure.
So we
Okay.
will need
Well, what
numbers.
it's going to say,
Yeah.
do I need to say what it's going to say?
Yes, and then
Or
you can
we're
all
gonna
go,
ask for-
and then
We're
you
going to ask
vote
for
on it.
double in grants, but we at least want an increase from the 3250 the previous year. That's what we're going to ask for. Technology last year, we didn't spend any. Okay, I'm sorry, we're going grants, technology, public art, education, communication, commission health. The total came to 46,450 last year. All right, on the technology last year, we just had 1,000, but then there were little bits of technology in each of the other divisions too. It all came to, I think, around $2,800. So we were pushing to try to get something done. Our meeting with the Ventura County people last week gave me a little bit of pause. Because I'm hoping, or I understand, they understand as well as we do how important to be an effective, to execute an effective arts plan, we must have both sort of a physical center and also, and hub, and we also need a technology hub. You know, for instance, in the grants, the online application was, we had a portion of our budget from last year that was supposed to be used to bring that fully online. That's something I hope to implement to the next step this year too. But we also, our inventories, also our education programs, also our communication, our regular, you know, there's beautiful art events coming up this weekend that should,
Right.
that should be a living, breathing thing, and our technology connects all that. We have, what I'm going to say to staff is that we need this technology. Give us a budget to do our part of it, or assure us that we're going to be included in a program that will help bring this together. So at the minimum, I want to ask to be able to get our inventories, our public art collection, database, there we will. Our website, if you will, I hate to call it a website, to have our communication vehicle for the public and for the artists in our community to be all connected. We can build our own for probably $3,000 or $4,000, but I don't think that's probably the best way to do it. So I would either like to see a plan, a minimal $1,000, which we didn't spend this year, to just get our grants application online, but to ask the city, do you want us to do it, or are you going to do this for us? How do we go forward from that?
So right now, again, we wouldn't be discussing the how of how we're going to problem solve. It's just looking at that issue and that issue area as a whole and
Yes.
determining how much funding that you would like to request from council. You can provide rationale on why you'd like to increase or decrease that amount. That's not staff's perspective. That's the five of you.
Okay.
And then this essentially gets provided, I think I explained this last time. This gets provided to city manager, so he'll then have a look, he'll provide his recommendation. Your recommendation will also be provided to council.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess anyone want to, well, we can go down a how hole forever on this. This is something I'm pushing for. So I'm going to at least push for that we roll over what we didn't spend this year into next year, just so that I'm constantly bugging you guys to either let us do it or do it for us.
So that's the and by the way, so I know based on our trying to reconcile our two categories right now,
It was one
technology
pallet
was
of-
within public relations of my the official city budget was then encapsulated. So is your recommendation then in that case, I know we talked about this before, to split the public relations category into technology, and I believe there's an item that was 1,650 last year as well.
Well, there was communication was last year.
Okay, so split public
I want
relations
to end
into
up
those
with
two.
grants, technology, public art, education, communication, and commission health. And these are all divisions of activities and processes that need to take place to implement our plan. So
Perfect.
I don't know how much with the kind of new budget process or agendizing every single item is going to, since we have to do it anyways, but I want there to be something that council votes on that supports our plan. And by breaking it into our divisions, I think it does that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
How
understood.
you get to this, from, copies.
Understood. So
Okay.
so that would be $1,000 for technology in this instance.
A brief technology question. Would it be useful to request some money to buy an hour or 2 hours, whatever, from Ojai and those people to help with the technology organization?
Interesting point. It's almost a bigger sort of county relations thing. These guys are like high-priced LA consultants, but they're kind of already our friends. I think that should be in our how hole. I think
Okay,
I think that's going to be in our how thing. Because I think at the end of the day, even the $1,000, they don't want us hiring some kid to code, but I like keeping that thorn of understanding that our plan needs technology for it to move forward. I'm going to move on to public art. Christine, last year was $6,550, but I think 6,000 of that was for the start of our assessment of our public art. 500 was from the previous year, and there was another little piece in there for might have been technology or something, I can't remember. But 6,550 was public art last year.
Yeah, and I think we're going to need that to be steady state, and I say that because, and I'll talk about it shortly, but the Cura Art assessment is very detailed. They were unable to see certain works, so we'll have ongoing work with them for next year. Moreover, they'll have ongoing activity in any event because they'll have to monitor some work that clearly needs to be done. And one aspect that comes to light, which I think we all had a sense of, and this commission has discussed in the past, there are certain works that clearly are in need of conservation. And I think for those difficult works, we're going to want the advice and input of our conservation experts. So we'll have to bring them back. Part of the issue, as we know, and I've discussed before, is that the serious nature of the deferred maintenance for so very many years has made this problem more difficult to address. And so we're going to have to keep steady state for some time until we have everything in good condition. And I think at that time, it may be possible that the obligation that the city has under section 4-16-217, which is maintenance of the city's public art, that can be done in a more light touch sort of way rather than these consultants coming in and doing this work. The only point I'll make with respect to that amount is they gave an extraordinarily generous what's the word I want? Estimate to us. And so what we know is that the work they did is far in excess of $6,500. So we may have to scale back what we're expecting of them in the upcoming year. But I don't think we can reduce at all the amount we're asking.
Sure. I think it's important, like you're probably going to make the point, is that the way we word this, though, is that a proper continuing proper assessment of can I say all city-owned art?
Well, city, or I would say public art.
Because we're starting to overflow into,
Well, because it's both city art, and we also have assessments of the of the art under the Percent for Art program.
Sure.
So I think I would just say
W-
public.
Well, we have, we
I
have,
mean, it's still a city-owned. but-
okay, I'm just thinking ahead about a request to artify Kent Hall. I'm thinking about our continued assessment or and presentation of the city collection. We have this under your auspices, even though it's not
Right.
public
So-
art.
So
Yes.
then you'll need more money, and David could probably talk, there's framing that likely needs to be done.
Mhm.
We're going to need, there's framing that will need to be done. We're going to need professional installers. You know, our past history of having commissioners and staff people walk around with their tack hammers and nails is, no way to run a railroad. We need professional handlers.
So our
David,
plea for maintaining,
I was going to ask David what he would guesstimate we'd need next year for the city collection.
Well, that-
Because of what's going to be happening with Kent Hall and moving some works potentially from the museum, I would like to see 1,500.
Well, again, what I want to address is that these are things the city needs. And as your Arts Commission, we stand ready to help the city, make the proper types of investment in both assessment, maybe appraisal, care, maintenance.
Well, not appraisal yet.
Okay, not appraisal yet, but these are the types of things we're experts at, and so we stand ready to do that. So these are things that are gonna need done. The money's, has to be spent. The wheel can't fall on a skateboarder in the park, just to bring things up to speed. So there will be opportunities, like I'm thinking about Kent Hall right now. We've been asked by council to help them decorate that. That doesn't mean that's our money, you know what I mean? We can still make recommendations and direct them and say for $10,000 we can do this, for $50,000 we can do this. We could have a local artist contest. I mean, there's a lot of hows there too that doesn't maybe necessarily need to be part, included in this budget right now, because that's like a city council budget item, I'm
Well,
thinking.
I'd like to see at least 1,000 in there,
See what?
1,000 in there
For,
for reframing and stuff we know we're going to have to do and moving stuff.
mhm.
750 for this year, and I'm not sure how many pieces are going to have to be reframed.
Okay,
and-
good. But
think
again, that
1,000
can be, we can bring that up again and add if that needs to occur. I'm gonna,
I mean,
yes,
I was thinking this today. Is that the Kent Hall redecorating or moving the collection around? Why would that be part of our budget?
because
per
we
se?
were asked.
So it has to
Why,
come out
I
of-
say, why would it be part of our budget? That's exactly what I'm
Right. well,
addressing here.
Wouldn't City Hall have a budget for this type of
They
thing?
perhaps may. They asked for our helps, and so we need to
we're-
kind of
But-
address
but-
that. They
but-
haven't asked us for a budget item for
But
it.
it's not just that, it's that this commission has the purview over the city collection. And so that gives us the responsibility,
Certainly.
not whether the council has asked us to. I mean, I shudder at the word decorate when it comes to
yes.
art, but nevertheless, we have responsibility for these works, and David, who is in charge of this division, knows that those works need to be reframed, and I think we simply put that money in to make that happen.
Can you help us here, Will? Because it's
Yeah, so a
it's
couple of
getting
clarifying,
down low here, yeah.
a couple clarifying questions on this category. So we started off with public art as a whole, right? But one issue I think I have with naming the category public art is that we now have the newly named fund that we talked about last time, which is the public art fund. So then having the public art separate line item might just be a little bit redundant or confusing. So
In-
I
in
think
our-
it might be helpful if we just had some way of specifying the difference between which are, like, so we've talked about
How
maintenance.
about collections? Why don't we call it collections?
Okay.
That would include the physical city collections, such as we see around us here in City Hall, and it would also include the public art collections, which we see out in the world.
Okay, just, you guys got to remember when we see collections, it's Because I keep trying to give you more than public art, Christine. I'm sorry. Excuse me, Christine. I keep trying to, Commissioner Wright, you have something to say?
And so then there is a public art fund, right?
Yes.
Okay,
That's separate from this. We're talking,
right, so that's not part of the budget?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
right.
Okay,
that sits
thank you.
by itself, and it's directed by Kappa, that group that has two members here and two from the public.
And its obligations are expressly set forth in
Mhm.
statute.
All right. So we're going to ask that we continue funding at the level for collections, which will enable us to continue with our assessment of the city-owned, of the city collections, if you will.
And that was the 65?
Yes. That was $6,550, yes.
Okay, so that was previously arts acquisitions, is what that was under the general budget. We'll switch that and make that clear.
But that's,
That's an
But-
accounting thing, it's not,
no,
it's,
no, that makes total sense, but that's only for the conservation assessment. What about the framing, installing, et cetera? That's gotta be
well,
in addition.
they'll come up as on our working agenda items. We can certainly direct without it being our money, you know what I mean? So, since it hasn't been agendized yet,
I see.
you see, Kent Hall has never appeared before the Arts Commission before, so we're not gonna make a new division for that right now, but we'll help them, just. Education, Pamela, last year, I think you only spent $200 or something, and,
I guess it hasn't been agendized.
we had it as 6,000 for education, I don't know where else came, but how's it,
That's correct. We have Ojai Arts Education.
Purely-
this is not an update of what's going on with the education right now, it's just,
I
you
still
can
think that
lead
would
a
be-
discussion of whether education and arts is important in our
I
community.
think it is. I think it is. I think having these enrichment seminars, I think having more community activities that are educational and of art basis, and I think mentorships are really important too. And I've really been reaching out to many individuals in the community about their ability and desire to connect with the younger generation and be mentors. And I'm ready to go on that, but I
Okay.
guess the system has now changed on
Well,
this,
we're gonna
so-
we're at least gonna try to roll it forward, you
Okay.
know, month at a time here with our 6,000.
But I would say-
Can I-
Okay.
I can say,
th-
one
that-
second, Christine. I can say that David Yoshitomi and those consultants from the Ventura County said this was a key kind of shiny spot where they know that they'll get a return in the creative economy, investing in education. And that's not just, I mean, of course it's youth, but if our artists are smarter, if our community is smarter about art, if our vendors or merchants in the town are smarter about, you know, they'll sell paint, you know, or canvases. It's a real efficient, fast track to accomplishing things
Helping
cleanly,
community. Yeah.
in touch with the environment, in touch with heritage and culture, in touch with beauty. So I just know that the county loves that we have this education division. Commissioner Wright?
A question about these mentorships, I'm not up to speed on that. Why does the mentorship need a budget?
In the past, this goes back, and I just happen to be experienced with it because I was a mentor. There was a summer program where a group, it was up to 10 one year, I think, applicants from the high school and then artists in the community were put together for a mentorship, sort of a job shadow thing. And at the end of the term, there was a stipend that was awarded to both the artist and to the student to participate in that. So we're recognizing the importance of the artist, the professional artist's work too. We're representing the value of that connection to the student with stipends, whether or not but that, just to give you an example, that's how we've done it, you know. And it was up to $5,000 or $6,000 in one of the older budgets, I remember.
Well, I was going to say, right now, we have many mentors in the arts working, and they're using their own materials, they're funding the kids themselves, they're helping with supplies, And those stipends really do help them offset some of those expenses.
It used to be a item itself on the budget, think mentorships, and it disappeared in the last couple of years. But just understanding that education is our seminars and it's our mentorships. Those are the support when we're going to ask for 6,000 again. Okay. Communication. This is the one that I keep saying. Each one of them is the most important one, right? This is a chain, you know, where you don't want any weak links for the plan to work. But in our plan, the communication plan had things like a newspaper article, website update, focus on the arts, artist of the month, you know, the library today, you know, we should be able to pitch a story to the whole county, to nationally even on what's going on. We talked about to implement our plan. It's a good plan, but anyone else can do it, you know, but we want but your Arts Commission could do it. So we need to sell the community that, this week we took the county people to see the music festival, the Arts Center, and the museum. And all of them were like so pleasantly, Anna and Terry and Wendy were so pleasantly like, wow, you guys brought these guys, you know, I mean, but that's our job, is to communicate what we're doing, because if we're no value, people just think, oh, they're the ones that do the, you know, give people a hard time when they want to paint their statue or something like that, you know, so it's an important thing. This year, there was part of our technology investment was supposed to be in there too. So I would at least like to kind of keep rolling forward our communication investment, to cover those types of categories. And I'll just move along here too. That's sort of the one I was handling. And Commission Health,
Sorry, what was the dollar amount for the?
1650.
Perfect. Thank you. So that's also breaking off from that public relations line item we had previously. Thank you.
Commission Health, we had 1250. Now this is the most important division. Well, as I learned from Rotary, in the 4 avenues of service that they have, which is, you know, international service, community service, vocational service, there was a club service too. And at first that seemed a little self-serving, but if your organization, if your commission is not healthy and clicking along, then they can't be an effective implementer of a plan. And so in some ways, this was, I'm so pleased the first time since I've been on the commission, we have a full commission, since I've been chair. And I love the way you guys speak out, you know, speak your own mind, and I love the way you go with the flow when it's time to go with the flow too. So our commission health budget, which was getting photography, which this year we got for free. You know, Pamela was kind enough to donate, you know, like name tags for us here. We'd like to have gatherings, informal gatherings, to keep the commission tight and keep people in plan as well too. So this is sort of the glue that holds the commission together. And we didn't spend anything from that this year except the 400 that I borrowed from it to correct the accounting error in our grants last year. So I'll ask for that to be rolled forward as well. Anyone have any comment on that?
I do have a comment, which is that the inn was so kind in arranging the event for our Ventura Arts people. We can't expect them to do that sort of thing regularly.
And the community too.
And, well, that's just what I was going to say. It was expressly to invite the community, and we were a little late in doing that. I think we would have gotten a better response if we had done it earlier, and I think we need that money. That's even less money than I think we truly need, but we could start in a sort of lower price tag venue, just to bring the community together, and I think it's hugely important.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's our commission health, but we're only as healthy as our community is. So
Thank you.
And-
I was thinking about the library, just.
Right, I would love to see us have a budget to be able to host more receptions like
Mhm.
that with a featured guest.
Sure. And those
So-
things can, yes,
So maybe it needs to be increased.
exactly.
Yeah,
That-
that was a good
At
thing.
that
Working
reception. yeah.
together.
And thank you to the,
I'll talk about that, but there's a hunger for that from your.
Networking,
All right.
it's essential.
we didn't ask the end they offered and the community, and to see all the artists seeing each other and meeting each other, I know it made an impact on them, and I know that the county people were very pleased. They're going to follow up with a lot of our local artists as they develop the county plan, I know.
And I
Arts when you say artists, you really mean arts organizations?
Arts
I trust,
organizations.
yes, okay.
Yes, there's a reason we have fiscal sponsor as a requirement in our grants. Well, we won't go down there too, but an organization is a pre-curated sort of fiscally responsible way to invest, for government to invest in the arts. Okay, so
So the commission health was $12.50
Yes.
last year?
Yeah.
And so.
I'm asking for that again, yeah. We're kind of rolling it, because we didn't really spend it.
So I believe that's the completion then of all of the existing
Yes.
funding we had last year.
Yes.
So if you would like, if everyone's happy with the dollar amounts that were presented, there would need to be a motion and to pass these recommendations on to.
Okay, I would move that, I'll make the motion that we present our budget request from council, again, to match and match the 6 divisions that we've created in our plan to, for the most part, roll forward the investments we've made in technology, public art, education, communication, and commission health with a request for a substantial increase in the grants, which are direct funding to the community, asking for double, but, asking for double on that. So it's sort of like the same budget plus whatever we can invest more into grants for next year.
So just for process sake, if I may just amend
Yes,
that a little
thank you.
bit. So recommendation from staff would be to request that the Arts Commission budget, or that the Arts Commission provides recommendation to the city manager that the existing Arts Commission budget be amended to alter the existing line items to only include moving forward line items of grants, technology, education, communication, collections, and commission health. Whereas grants will be a recommendation of $60,000, technology will be a recommendation of $1,000, education will be a recommendation of $6,000, communication a recommendation.
6550?
I believe that's collections is $6,550.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said education, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Communication will be a recommendation of $1,650. Collection, a recommendation of $6,550. And commission health, a recommendation of $1,250.
Can I make a quick comment there?
Well, hang on, we're making you're helping me write a motion
So
here,
if you're
right?
fine with that motion,
Okay, so I'll make that motion.
Okay.
And see if there's a second,
Second.
and we'll have discussion now. I'll bet Pamela has something to
Okay,
ask.
I do have something to say. So with community health, community health, I really think that we should increase that budget because I think that if we do host, I think that's one of the most important things we can do right now is get all the arts organizations connected, communicating, meeting, sharing what they're doing. I mean, having these presentations are marvelous, but that get-together we had at the end really brought us all together. I would like to see that at least like every other month, have something that gets us together so we know what's going on. And I think it's gonna be more than $1,200. I'd like to see $2,500, because I think $100 a month, or it won't cover even a couple bottles of wine.
Okay,
Right. I
somebody else?
May I?
Commissioner Steiner?
Yeah, thank you. I agree completely. I think we should bump that up. I think every other month is way too often. People
Okay.
are way too busy for that. But I think semi-annually may make sense as it fits in the calendar. And the point I wanted to make about the grants, I don't want to lose David's point that doubling our grants may, especially in light of our recent controversial fiasco, let's just call it, would appear brazen, and I don't think that's what we want to do.
I feel quite strongly about that. You know, I've been around politicians, and when you see some organization asks for double the amount of money, that, you know, you've got,
When they already think we messed
they
up.
already think you're pretty much, you know, at the end of the line anyway. You're not gonna, it's just not gonna go down with the right feeling. I think, you know, if we wanna ask for an increase
Okay.
to 40 or 45,000, that's very reasonable, I think.
Anyone else on, discussion on this motion?
I like the 45, sort of cutting in half
Uh,
the double.
Do you have something, Corinne?
I was gonna say, the same, that,
All right. Well, I'm going to amend,
so,
because my personal feeling was to
I know,
increase it. Any increase they give after that, I was
Right.
going to be happy on too.
but
but-
it does, I mean, the idea that they could double it is probably very unrealistic. So if we could ask for a realistic number, maybe we're more likely to get it.
Okay.
And I don't know if
And
45 is even
I'm going to
realistic.
amend
Giving
the,
40,
a motion to
or-
amend. What do I have to do? I don't know.
So you can you can amend your motion.
So here's
Yeah.
what I want to do. I don't want to add the 1,000 more to Commission Health because it just looks funny. Let's put it in communication, because just so it doesn't feel like we're giving it to ourselves. You know what I mean?
it is communication.
It is communication, right? So I'm going to change communication to 2650, and grants from grants from 30 to, what was 20% would be 25% increase. What would be a 25% increase?
9,000
So
to 750.
What is it?
Is it 750?
750? No. 7,500, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me just do the math.
I think we should ask for 4,200. I mean, 42,000. It's a good number.
Let me ask for a 25% increase. Let me see what that is. It was 3250
I like 42.
Right?
Yeah, that's 40, closer to 42.
times,
That's a good point.
times,
We're losing
Okay.
confidence in you here, Smitty.
confidence? No, I'm just doing math, you know, I'm trying to,
That's what I'm saying, we're losing confidence in your math, I'm teasing you.
no, 30%, a third increase would be 40,000.
40,000 might be good.
Well,
So we're going to change that to 40, which is a third increase. I was coming in today, going to ask for 15% if we could get it, you know what I mean? And let us show you a great job that we can do, you know, this year, and then go for the big one next year, you know, too. But
so,
I
I mean,
think-
if you think that that's going to be more successful, then I certainly defer to that.
no, well, you know, our request is as much a communication as best you will carry this forward for us as we can, that we're not, you know, we're not mad and angry. We just really feel important that this is the most direct way to get the arts moving, beautify the city, cultural awareness, all the reasons, the education, all the reasons that we do this. It's the quickest way to get it back out there. It's just tax dollars coming from the end and go into the artist, you know. So let's put 40. I'm going to amend my motion. Do I make a motion to amend my motion to the same numbers we had, except increase communication to 2650, and that will be to cover more community art events, gatherings where there'll be pollination, and the others the same. Do you have those numbers?
Yes, so the motion stays the same, just friendly amendment from yourself.
Okay.
To reduce the initial amount of $60,000 for grants to $40,000, and to increase the communication number from $1,650 to $2,650.
Sure. And any of these increases, well, there's 2 increases we're requesting, are perfectly still in line with what our 5-year plan is, which will be up for renewal next year. So when you communicate it, understand this isn't a reactionary budget. This is our plan, and this is what we need to continue going. The most we can do in grants, you can't go wrong there. Can't go wrong there if we do it according to the plan. Is that an amendment, or that's the motion? Second discussion?
So if everyone is
No,
completed with discussion,
I'm
then
asking
we are.
do you want a roll call, or do you?
Absolutely. So we have a motion by Chair West and a second by Commissioner Leeds to move this recommendation along to the city manager as previously stated. Commissioner Grau.
Aye.
Chair West.
Aye.
Commissioner Leeds.
Aye.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Vice Chair Steiner.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, guys. We had a little arts and we discuss opportunities to collaborate. If it's okay, I'll just move that item down to my report. Anyone on 7E? No problem, anyway. And then let's start with commissioner updates now with Commissioner Steiner, please.
Thank you.
Elections or?
Collections, right. Collections, public art and city collection art. So I have 2 updates. One is simply closing out a matter. As you know, the summer camp petitioned to create a mural. We held a mural jury. It went very well. The work was installed. It was also sealed, completed entirely. The summer camp owner notified me that that process was completed. I took a look at it, which is part of our obligation under the mural ordinance. Cassandra Jones, the chair of the jury, also took a look at it. We both concluded that it was precisely what had been proposed, and we both approved it, and so that matter is completely done. The owner also said that many of the neighbors have come by and said how much they enjoy it, so it was a beautification aspect. And I would just mention that the artist, Christopher Noxon, who's also in OSA, the Ojai studio artists, currently has an exhibition at our neighboring art museum, the Santa Paula Art Museum. And there was a reception last weekend, and it's open for a while, so I would urge people to go see Christopher's work there. My second update relates to Cura Art, which I mentioned before. As we know, Cura Art prepared and completed the conservation assessment that was submitted to the city, and we are hoping that that can be more thoroughly discussed at the time when we have a joint meeting with the city council. And I urge that especially because there are going to be many duties for the city to undertake that are revealed by virtue of the assessment. There's certain condition work that's going to have to be addressed, and especially, as I mentioned earlier, in light of the deferred maintenance. So the city's going to have to be aware of that and have to tackle it, and so the best way to do that is in a meeting with them. With that, I have nothing else, and thank you.
Commissioner, who do we have next?
Should I piggyback the city art collection onto that, now that we're in collections?
Oh, good idea.
Yes.
Karina and I again today reviewed the art here and took a look at Kent Hall and looked at the spaces and approximate measurements for things. And we discussed what could possibly go where.
Is your mic on?
What?
Is your mic
Oh,
on?
no, it's not. Sorry. Should I repeat that?
Yeah, if you could repeat that, and also maybe move it just a little closer.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Wright and I today met at City Hall, and we looked through the works again here. We went into Kent Hall and looked at the room and the spaces available for work, approximated the size, talked about which works here we thought might potentially go there, and looked at a locked closet, which we couldn't get into, which have a few works that I haven't seen here, which will get unlocked supposedly next week, maybe?
Yeah, we can look to get that unlocked next week. It's mostly former portraits though in the closet of council. So, but there are a couple works as well that are, I believe.
Do you have
are part of the
Ojai
collection.
day posters there?
I can confirm that once we get the door
Okay,
open.
we'll confirm that.
Thank you.
Then a very interesting visit Commissioner Wright and I both had at the museum to look at our pieces there. We met with Wendy Barker, and she showed us what was in storage of ours. And we talked about, the three of us talked about what would be good for Kent Hall. She was very enthusiastic, and I asked her if, in fact, she would consider a loan to the city of some of their pieces in storage. And she said, absolutely. And they've done that in the past, and she was very enthusiastic about the possibility of doing it. And we actually singled out a few pieces that were the kind of thing we might like, and I think we can do that. One of them was a Karen Lewis, much better suited than the one they have here for that. But I think that could be a very fruitful path for us to continue down.
So Pam and I took a museum tour also at some point. I thought the only city-owned work in storage at the museum was one very large piece. Do they have more works than that?
Yes, they do. There's a large piece by, do you remember that artist's name? We have it written down somewhere. There are two paintings of that artist, one very large one and a smaller one, which is not small. But I don't know how appropriate they would be.
And the Christine Brennan
Right.
painting,
Mike, please.
Christine Brennan painting that was brought over here once and not installed and brought back into storage. So we figured
And
it
we
already
think
had-
it should remain in storage.
Right. And the Karen Lewis.
Yeah,
They
the
had a-
the Karen Lewis was wonderful. It
Yeah.
would be great.
Well, I'm going to ask,
Great artist.
Oh, well, there's one of those too, yeah.
I have another question, if I may, on the city collection, and that is, how is the security at Kent Hall? I was worried about moving any works in until we're sure that we have both climate control and also security.
Right. Will and I have talked about the security issue and the locks, and we're going to try to work through that as they do their,
can I ask David, Christine, that next meeting we agendize, if you guys can put together a full plan with a budget, sort of objectives for our June meeting,
Yep.
then we'll maybe, that will address security, that will
yeah,
address
I think we could get a good handle by then on it.
the museum pieces,
Sure.
the specific walls and all too,
Yeah.
you know, and just a little plan. I wish we could even move faster, but,
Well, we're going to be slowed down anyway by the work they're doing in Kent Hall. It's not going to happen right away.
Yeah, that sure is ugly place, yeah.
You know, we're going to have to live with this for a while.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I know I discussed this with David earlier, but James Hahn, our project manager in Kent Hall, has taken on a number of different projects already. They fixed up a couple of the decks for accessibility issues on the outside. They're planning to go forward with a couple other maintenance improvements on the space itself. So they just want to complete that first,
Sure.
and then we can feel free to.
Yeah. And
But-
if you sense any delay and
Yeah.
that maybe there'll be some Band-Aid, something that can be done with posters or.
And also speaking to your other issue, Christine, climate control, I was told to talk to the IT person who is the one who,
James Hahn, yeah.
Jim, right, who is the one who deals with that and discuss that issue, which I haven't done, but will do before next meeting.
Good, thank you, David. Thank you,
Um,
Christine.
yes.
We'll probably come back to you, David. I don't know if we will unless you had something else there.
Well, just a little
Why
piece.
don't you finish up, anything else you had? If you had communication or anything else needed?
Well, communication, I do have
Mhm.
a bit to say. I must say that the city manager got approval for having a piece of public art in his office because there's a table there that he meets the public in. And I'm not sure who gave him that approval, but I was told that today.
Yeah, the former, the mayor and I discussed it, and the former city manager
Okay.
was sort of permitted.
You picked something
Because
too, right?
typically, the understanding is that you cannot have work in private offices. However, given the public nature of the city manager's job, especially on Zoom and so on, it was deemed to be appropriate. I mean, I must say, when we were, when I was at the Smithsonian, and there would be a request that came in from the White House to borrow works from Smithsonian collections, we were like, I don't know, you know, it's not, you can't just take these works willy-nilly. So even the city manager seems to have more leeway than the President of the United States.
Do you want me to continue with communication?
Please, go on.
Okay. I started off about a week ago, and I sent each of you a copy of the content of an email to the city council. After the last meeting and the talk of beautification, I thought it was important that we show the council that we were going to include them in the collaborative process. I was unfortunate because I didn't have the individual emails for the council members. I had to go to the website, and there's a contact info thing, fill out this form, and a very awkward way of sending a message. Well, I didn't hear back, and I didn't hear back, and I contacted the mayor today, and she said she hadn't received it yet. So I don't know if there's a way for us or anyone has, or it's appropriate to have the individual emails of the council members, but this is not going to be a good way to communicate in the future,
I think
Commission.
I'll call on city liaison Will to respond.
Yeah, I would ask you if you have a need, if there is a desire to make sure that communications are being passed forward to council, feel free to reach out to me, and I can make sure that any communications are sent forward as well. I believe the city online email function is usually so it's two functions. One is sometimes it's fed into public comment before a city council meeting. And second, it has to go through a layer that's approved and then sent forward to council. So there's a delay sometimes.
I assume there were layers of filters there. I will send you a copy of that
Thank
missive.
you, David.
Absolutely.
Thank you for bringing that forward, because we need to be able to talk to our boss.
But I wanted to talk more about something you brought up, about communication with stakeholders. I got so much feedback at the reception from the arts organizations about how terrific it was to get together with the commission, to meet the gentleman from Ventura, and how much they were really thirsting for interaction with the commission. And in fact, I had one person, the Film Society, Erica Helson, wasn't able to make the event because she got the invitation too late. But she followed up. She said she wanted to know what the event was about. I told her on the phone about the event. She followed more up in an email with questions, and she was very eager to get communication regularly established with the Arts Commission. And I found this from talking to a number of other people from the organizations there. They're really hungry for communication. So I would like to establish some kind of semi-regular communication system with the organizations that we're all talking at the same time. And that's number one. And I think we have a great opportunity in terms of that to have publicity for the organizations and great things that are happening, and the commission as being a sort of in-between hub for all of that. I had mentioned a little bit earlier about the idea of having publicity via newspaper, little profiles in the newspaper of, for example, grant winners or education kids or whatever from that. And I talked with Mimi Walker, the cultural editor of the paper, and she's very responsive to that. She likes the idea. We have to develop the content and bring it to her. And I'm willing to shepherd that through. And in fact, the people from Dance Ojai were so enthusiastic at the reception talking to me, because they couldn't have done, they did a program at Libby Bowl, which was sold out. They sold every seat there. And they couldn't have even begun to do this without the grant they got, number one. And they worked with City Hall to get them to waive or completely minimize a number of fees. So by working with the Arts Commission, by City Hall, by everybody talking together and doing this, they were able to create this fantastic thing that was hugely successful. And I think they might be a good person. I mentioned this to, I forgot her name, yes. And I think they might be a good person to start this idea of submitting content to the paper with. And some of the library programs, I think, would be very good to do too. I have a lot of ideas of how we could develop
Beautiful.
content.
Beautiful. This is in our plan, this is in our communication budget request too, so that's good work.
And thank you. My last thing is, it's a question, really. Through the guys from Ventura and talking with some people at the Music Foundation, you know, there's so much money.
Festival?
Yeah, music festival, I'm sorry. There's so much money from the federal government and the state government that can be devoted to arts. And we were talking about the NEA, about the Our Town program, which is a great program with a lot of money that can be had. And it's sort of very complicated kind of ways that you can create artistic involvement. There are many avenues that you can come up with all kinds of things that would fit their criteria to get money. It's a laborious grant process, very laborious, I'm told. But the question is the Arts Commission, should we be in the business of trying to shepherd or just suss out these sources of funds for?
I think this is great, and this is in our plan, actually. So it crosses a couple spots. Certainly, just the concept of being the hub, all right, and then also understanding that government investing directly into grants to artists is the most efficient way to do it. And that doesn't mean it has to be city funds to do that as well, too. I don't know that we would enter the position where we would be the grant, where we would be the, we wouldn't be holding the money and doing that, but anything
We would be
that we can do
partners
to
with
facilitate
organizations
that.
and
I know the
government.
county, David at the county, David Yoshitomi, got the, did I say his name right? Yeah. Got they got a $2 million grant from Build Back America at the federal level, and that actually funded a grant program they did for $1 million, and I think it may have actually, it's funding their current research they're doing in strategic planning and forming an arts commission of their own down there too. So the county is building from nothing by using that.
There's a lot of money out there.
And yeah, we'll continue to work with our stakeholders to make that happen. Nice work, David. Thank you. Bring us something for Kent Hall next month, and we'll just get that thing all prettied up. Pamela, Commissioner Rao, Education.
Hello. Okay, so I have been busy, and I'm not going to gripe or be disappointed, but the presentation that was supposed to be yesterday got canceled due to whatever it is. It wasn't his fault that he didn't come up to speak. It was our fault for not going through the right protocol of how to make that happen. And I want to avoid that in the future. I want to know how to do it correctly. I'm still, I'm such a rogue person that I'm not used to, like I have to think about the Brown Act and I have to think of agendizing and this and that. So I really need clear direction on how to get these projects going forward. Luckily, we've had 4 enrichment presentations this year at the museum that were all very successful. I would like to continue that on. I have a whole list of possibilities, so I want to get it right. Additionally, I've been working with different art organizations in our community about mentorship programs. And one in particular with the Ojai studio artists, they currently have 15 mentors working with very serious students who are coming to these studios weekly. And I was hoping to get funds for them, and it looks like that's not going to be possible. So I'm
What else you got, and we'll maybe address that, or Well,
Well,
I encourage you, from my understanding, and Will may speak to this during his liaison comments, but bring it,
okay.
but now
I
we need to
I
bring
have
it.
formal letters
We need
from
to bring it,
organizations,
we need to bring it with who's getting the funds.
right? Okay.
Who,
Who, what, when, why,
When.
where?
And-
I can do
and
all
Chair-
that.
Chair West, if I may.
Please, Will.
So I'll speak to this a little bit later, but we're working through the process, and I'm going to provide some documentation to all of you, just so
Okay.
that we can have a super clear and concise understanding of what's needed from our end to make sure we get these approvals through, make sure everything's agendized ahead of time. I know Smitty alluded to a working agenda that I've sent over, and we want to start making sure that we're all on the same page and we're planning these things out and ensuring that these programs can be
I mean,
funded.
I have literary mentors, I have music mentors, I have dance mentors, I have all these
I want to-
people.
I want to encourage her to continue to work, bring it in
Because
June if she can. you
It
know?
really,
Absolutely.
it really changes the lives of the mentees. And I want to see it happen.
I
So,
do
I mean, if
too.
it doesn't happen
So-
this year, it'll happen for next year's budget, but
Let's
let
not
me-
even think about it, like,
Okay.
Plan to bring something in June and.
Okay,
and-
so in
and
June,
We'll review
how,
it.
how do
with-
how do I agendize that? How, do I submit the paperwork before the next meeting, so it's on the agenda?
I'll speak to that in my report
Okay.
after, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have him ready.
I've
That's
been
actually-
busy and I'm frustrated.
Yeah, well, thank you for,
And by the way,
probably
I
the
want to
most-
compliment all of my co-commissioners about that event with the Ventura Arts Organization. So I really think that was amazing and we should do more.
great. I say great, I was gonna respond because I have that in my thing, but I wanted to call on Commissioner Wright first, grants.
Not a lot to report yet on grants. I've been doing a little bit of research and trying to familiarize myself with the process. I met with one of the ad hoc committee members who was very enthusiastic about the process and reinforced my idea that we definitely should have an ad hoc committee. And just doing a little bit more brainstorming about the criteria that we're using for the merit-based grants and putting those buzzwords forward to the city council so they can have a clear understanding of why, and just, list those criteria. We all know them. And also, I am very curious, different grants, talking with the gentleman from Ventura County about how to get more grants to fund our grants. So I want to find out more about how we can grow our budget from outside sources, not only for grants, but for events, sponsorships, etc. So I think that would be exciting to follow up with Ventura County Arts Commission there. And also, I was curious if we were going to do one of the supported workshops for the grants application that was last year, I think in June. So if that was going to be,
We should do that every year. We should have
was that effective? Did people show up?
Well, it was a general grant thing, but I think we should do one just about our grants.
Oh, it was for general grants, okay. Because I wasn't sure if it was, it led them
But in the
through the
past-
process.
In the past, we have had workshops helping applicants understand how to fill out their applications.
So I was curious if,
That should be
we need to
a
just
perennial thing, that's great.
right, schedule something and what the timing is on all of that. And I'm going to continue talking with the previous ad hoc committee members, just taking their temperature, see if they would maybe want to be asked to do it again. I, of course, would like to have at least one of them, so we have the chain of information transferring over and make it a more streamlined process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Is there any way that we can get information about last year's grant winners? Because I have no idea who won or what the grants were. I'd
Yes.
like to be able to look at that.
Yes,
We have all of that on the website. I'll send you a link.
Okay, thank you.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
But I think you should also see our recommendations rather than.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
a
because-
spreadsheet.
And the amount that we had recommended, because it's very different from what had been awarded, that will give you full background. Karina, I've got a question. So last year, I know there were some technological snafus with the application. Have you confirmed with the city that that sort of thing will not happen again?
I did speak with Will about what the process is to fortify the application process online. He's looking into it and still trying to figure out to what extent. Was it user error versus platform error?
It was platform error.
Platform error,
That's what we're told, right.
No, I know for a fact.
okay. And
So we have to tidy that up then.
tidy that up and, yeah, and I think that that'll be taken care of.
Thank you for that question, Christine. I'm going to just move on to my little report. I want to thank everyone for that day we spent with David Yoshitomi, manager for Arts and Culture of Ventura. I really have a lot of confidence that that'll be a fruitful collaboration as we move forward. I wanted to, what did I move down to here? Oh, a report on that. Yes. So we visited, we went over the 5-year plan with the posters that Newsom Mall had developed in our visioning session. We put them all around a screen and reviewed them. And they asked a lot of good questions. Some of the most directed ones that came the quickest were, is there a city staff arts person, because they want to help the other parts of Ventura County too, and they need to come up with a kind of a best practices as to how do you implement a plan as a commission. I mean, that was sort of, I think, what they were asking, and it was a good question. It's opened my eyes a little bit too, as to how we move forward, or maybe get help from them. They were particularly moved by what we do. To them, our grants money is this kind of puny, and they were a little surprised at that. But they're glad that we're investing in on the education side as well, and they actually liked they were surprised and pleasantly surprised at the Commission Health kind of division, how we recognize how government can be better. We walked through Libby Park, looked at some of the public art there through the Trimpkin Arch, and then met with Anna Wagner with the Ojai Music Festival, the stage there, where they asked a lot of good questions of her, and it was interesting how private and government can work together. Everyone was surprised that the Libby Bowl seemed to be underutilized. It didn't have its own, even though it's city-owned, it doesn't have any way other than, it has a contract with a promoter, but that could be, they can have that in place and still have a lot of other things. So there's some best practices that we can learn from other cities in the county as well, and they're going to help us kind of see what we can do to turn the Libby Bowl into something that's more centrally represents Ojai and the performance arts.
It is the city's logo,
Yeah.
after all.
Yeah.
And make money as well.
Yeah, it's, I know, we went, I'll come to that when I come to our meeting with Ben. We walked over to the Arts Center, which is in its 85th anniversary, and Terry over there was delighted to meet these guys and show them what they've created over there with their different divisions, and she was very pleased that government seemed to care. They're not used to that over there, but they have 8 different divisions of art over there, and it's very modest, but it's adjacent to city-owned property. There's a lot for sale right next to it. You know, as we think about bricks and mortar and what arts might be in Ojai one day in terms of an art center, you know, anytime we see something that is bricks and mortar and is close to kind of ground zero of the city property that we already have and is underutilized, we're going to take interest. So we then drove over to the museum and saw Wendy Barker and learned again, you know, how another interesting way in which city and museum can interact. It's a little everything has a little different flavor there. They were particularly interested in their consultants are there's a big movement in this creative industry, the creative economy. It seems to be something that addresses so many other issues as well, from housing to supporting local artists to using facilities that are underused, the environment and being clean, and cultural and connecting with heritage and all. There's so many other important values that all communities have. And and I lost my train of thought there. With the museum. Krishnamurti, ag, they have this citrus exhibit right now that shows how agriculture, and they did, it's wonderful if you haven't seen it yet too. It's the way to connect agriculture, and in Ventura County, they took great note of that. The Krishnamurti, just sort of, I should say, the theosophic sort of heritage of Ojai as something that can connect with the rest of the county as well. Tourism and art. Ojai was a tourist city for the Chumash. In fact, you know, they left when the water dried up, you know, and they'd come back for the hot springs, you know, and the health and the abundant game and stuff like this. So Ojai has been a tourist town from day one, you know. So that's part of a heritage in other communities in Ventura County as well. So just to kind of give an idea where the business and the art and the government and private all kind of connect. It was a good, enlightening thing for everybody that was there. But then we went on to have a meeting with Manager Ben and Mayor Sticks and Councilperson Rachel. Will wasn't there. That was it. Yeah. So that was just a great example of government people all like agreeing, you know, that, well, first of all, bring it forward. These are my big issues. 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 And then, wow, art can be a solution and a driver in the economy as well. So I was very pleased at the manager's excitement about opportunities for performing arts. We already have the artists, we already have the venues, we just have some glue to put some things together in this town that can kind of help drive our economy. And they were, because council's also doing planning now, they were very, anytime we can talk about our Arts Commission plan, at the same time the city is talking about their plan is fruitful. And then we went to the inn and walked in the front door and saw a beautiful growl on the ceiling there too, and had a reception. I was very pleased with. Thank you guys for setting that up, Corinne and David, on such short notice. And for the visitors from Ventura, they were that was the highlight of their day, to have so many artists in one place, and a mayor there, and a council person there. And so a thank you to the inn who offered a gathering space and some refreshments for them. And I saw a lot of cards exchanged, and I know that now I see our arts organizations are going to be connected with the planning process of what the county is doing, and it just brought me such joy that something I'm not doing, but it's happening, and I know it can only go in a great direction. So that's just sort of a summary of that. Strategic planning. Oh, we're going to try to do still trying to organize that to bring Karina and David further up to speed. I'm hoping we'll get a report on our city council joint meeting where we can cover the public art assessment that we've done, where we can talk about grants in more detail and understand our process in the future. I don't know if we can do that in one meeting, but we certainly have to be able to communicate that. If not in that meeting, we got to go to commissioners' statements at council meetings and bring them along. All right, for future agenda items over the next, I'm
Before
sorry.
we leave your
Yes.
section, is there a follow-up with NUSA and that sort of
Yeah.
brush up on the strategic
Yeah,
process?
yeah, it's another thing it needs agendized.
Okay,
Yes,
so-
I've got in my instructions how to do that properly. And, yes, and we will. Is that the short answer?
Can
Okay.
I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Regarding our friends from Ventura County?
Yes.
How did you leave it with them? What is the follow-up going to be? Are they
There were a
going to
lot of wonderful
first-
thank yous that went around from managers to mayors to commissioners to, and council, what do they call them, supervisors. They're in their planning process, and I just, at this point, I let them know that the important things to us was a kind of a technologic framework and sort of a best practices framework that could either where it can flow down from county to us, great. Where we can flow up to county and then maybe it go down to the rest of the community, we stand kind of ready to serve. They're in the middle of their planning, visioning at this point, so it's very early. But I know that they. I think it's at an appropriate point where they're taking an assessment of the county. And what was it, 10 cities? Was that it? Yeah, and the 10, because they have 10 cities and then unincorporated too. And they haven't gotten this anywhere else. So I'm very proud of our Ojai community, arts community for making that impression, because that
was a good
can only
impression.
make us stronger.
Yeah. Would it be possible, or would it be beneficial for them to come and give a presentation to us so the public can see what's going on in the county?
Absolutely. I bet they'll probably want to wait till they know what's going on. But
Because everything that goes on at this podium in front of us goes out to the public, and then the public will have more understanding
yeah,
about.
again, everything's like in our plan, you know what I mean? And if our plan, even if we're not doing our plan, someone's doing our plan, you know, we get them to do some of our plan, you know, it's going to be good for our community. But, you know, absolutely, anything to excite them. Yeah, we invite David for education seminar, to do one of those or something.
That would be good.
You know, he would love to do that. He loves Ojai. Everybody loves Ojai. Well-oiled machine up here.
And would this be a situation where, the city manager realizes that maybe Ojai's budget for the arts could lean a little bit harder on the Ventura County budget? I mean,
Right.
are they?
Maybe. We'll see. They don't even have the budget yet.
They
you know.
don't.
Right, no, but,
Okay.
certainly, Ben spoke of his experience in Pacific Grove of connecting private, public, performing arts. You know, they have the Monterey Jazz Festival up there, so there's sort of this culture of people, of tourism and art and gatherings, and how that can be a supporter for the economy without the impacts that you might usually do in growth.
And it may lay the groundwork for what I've always thought, which is that it's surprising that we don't have an arts and cultural affairs division of some sort. When I first moved to Ojai now more than 11 years ago, I was surprised that there's a robust recreation department and there isn't any cultural affairs activity. So I think we really need to push to move in that direction, and these efforts may well help.
Well, thank you, and thank you to all the commissioners. Every time you mention the word plan and talk about, I think it starts to sink in. I quoted myself at the meeting with the government, and I said, it was one of my I actually lost what I was talking about, but I said, I forget what the question is, but art is the answer. Did I tell you that one? Are we going to, is there any future agenda items we haven't sort of addressed as we come forward? We're going to have this process working agenda. Anytime commissioner comes up with something that another commissioner supports, or talk to me, and we'll get this on this working agenda so that it's agendized in a way that we can take action that's meaningful and not just blah, blah, blah.
So the conservation assessment, quite obviously, but
Yes.
that's going to happen whenever we have a joint meeting, so
I think, I
I'll
wonder,
defer that.
boy, it almost seems like that could be a lot of content. I'm wondering
Well-
if we need to do both or something.
it will be a lot of content, and I think we should have it, I defer to you, of course, you're the chair, but I think we should do it together with the council so that they will understand the scope of it, and if we need to sort of put some fine points on it, we can do it in a follow-up
I
meeting.
mean, will it be a slideshow of every piece, do you think?
No, well, I think everyone's going to receive the report, because I
Uh-huh.
think that's important. Perhaps it could be up. I guess Will and I
It could
could
be,
talk about that.
it could be
but-
delightful, and
But
like
I think it's hugely important, and, those meetings go on for, 10 hours over something like pickleball.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have 5 hours over something frankly far more important,
Mm-hmm.
which is our public art. So, I would not be concerned about the amount of time it
Okay.
takes, and I truly want the city to understand the importance of these assets and the importance of investing in them. And unless we do it jointly, I don't know how that
Yeah.
would happen. We also need the city manager to understand, because we need the council to direct the manager to undertake certain actions that are clearly required. And we want the city attorney also to understand, because when it comes to the works that are funded with private monies, the Percent for Art programs, there's going to have to be some muscle to get people to do the kind of work they're, by virtue of inertia, they are not doing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, there's no
I-
question, this is a future agenda item, and we'll do it with council and/or with whatever communication and governance is necessary to push that forward, to push
Okay, well, I
the
don't-
care of
I
our
don't know what
public
the-
art.
I don't know what the "or" means. I strongly urge that we do it in the joint session.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you.
But if we can't get the joint session, we gotta do it anyways,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
we have to deliver this
Oh, I see what you're,
report.
yes, I agree.
We have to deliver this report. I'm gonna move on to staff liaison report unless someone else is gonna add something
well,
to.
No, I'd like to agendize for next meeting.
Yes.
The mentorships and education.
Yep, good, and you're gonna work with Will
I will work with
to
Will.
make it show up, so we just
Yes,
consent item almost, okay.
correct.
And,
Oh,
and I think David raised the point about framing and Kent Hall and all
Well,
that
yeah, so a report on,
Kent Hall.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these, Will. A Kent Hall plan, I'd like to call it, beautify or decorate. Okay. Staff liaison report, I know you've been holding your
exhibition.
exhibition? It sounds like a drag show or something. It's already its own exhibition over there. Are you ready, staff liaison?
Yes, Chair.
Petitioner.
Thank you. Second he's silent. Moving on to our staff liaison, we have a few reports today, and I'm going to try to get to a few of the different topics that we've been kind of touching. But first, I know the chair communicated that you would all like an update related to the graffiti on public art utility box. And I think this is a necessary update because I spoke with our public works team and they went out and reassessed the site. So just for context, this is one of our utility boxes that was part of a paint box project. So we have local artists that went and beautified our utility boxes. we had a member of the community, or we had someone vandalize the box and graffiti it. The public works team is not comfortable at this time taking immediate action to clean it themselves because they're worried they're going to damage the work. So they've requested that I bring this back to the commission for you all to discuss and determine a recommendation for how we can proceed.
We're good with that. We know what to do.
Okay, great, thank you. So if there's no questions, then I can move on.
Well, we can talk about it, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should say what to do.
Okay, well, first, and we did do this, is contact the artist.
Good. Always the first
So
step.
we'll go back to the artist again is what we're going to do, because, his recommendation was, just to bring the commission up to speed. May I, Will, interrupt you? Of course I may. I'm in charge. It was painted with a graffiti-proof paint, so it's supposed to be cleanable. But there's sort of levels of steps you go up there, and so we're going to we'll contact the artist and get a plan, and if it needs a budget request or something, we'll get that in place as soon as we can.
Great.
I'll run with that, or would you like me to personally run with that?
No, I think that's terrific. Involving the artist is always the right first step, so that's great.
That's Dominic Dean Bro, by the way, is the artist. Please go on, liaison.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 9B then. So related to our joint meeting between the Arts Commission and the City Council. So I know initially we were looking at setting this meeting for, I think initially it was May and potentially early June. We wanted to incorporate all of the new commissioners in the process. And now what we've kind of run into, which is a bit of a barrier, is budget season. So budget season with council is kind of a non-negotiable slate of blocked off time, and they need that time in between meetings as well, just in case they need extra meetings to be able to iron out any additional unforeseen details. And then we also have potentially a planned recess in place after budget season, which is an annual thing that happens at the end of every summer for City Council. So as of right now, it stands that we're likely going to have to look to push this back, unfortunately, to early August / late August.
Have any of the other commissions had their joint meetings yet?
No. So everyone is being pushed back. So that is likely the time period. I will send out another mass email to the 5 of you and to council to confirm that we can get a majority of both bodies to one meeting so that we can discuss these important issues. If that sounds agreeable.
Yeah, the only caveats were in the we have important work. We want to move ahead, and we want to include them, particularly our public art assessments and our grants process, which is part of a big budget item request too. So it's sort of like your boss gives you something to do, and then the boss won't meet with you about it. So, we want, and the city council's our boss. So we're like, here we are. We're ready to talk about moving ahead. And then I do, it just like kind of fear that, well, we'll take it when we can. And we're allowed to call our council people as citizens individually as well.
I was going to say, is that a public meeting, that
Yes.
joint meeting? Okay, so it can't be brunch at my house or, some off.
After, we'll go to
Okay.
brunch.
Okay.
I would
Thank
also try to suggest, if possible, dates that are close to our meetings, because we know that we're all in town, whereas I know City Council meets on a more regular basis, so they might not be taking such large chunks out of town. So I'm just, as a heads up, I know a lot of us do travel, so you might have more success with dates that are just slightly closer to the third Thursday of the month instead of, say, the first one. That's all.
Although I should point out that we do not have a city council liaison here, so the fact that they pay attention to our schedule obviously means very little.
I can help.
I'll second what you said anyways.
Yeah, so I'll communicate what's available moving forward. Again, for instance, the second meeting in August of council, we haven't determined whether or not we're going to schedule this during a regular council meeting or set a special meeting yet. So that's another option, is it might be set for the second council meeting of the month. So I'll update all of you on that one. Good to proceed. Okay.
You got something else?
So item 9C, for grant applications. So I know the chair requested that we provide an update on, or a space to discuss how staff is proceeding in potentially revamping the online grant application process. I spoke with the previous staff liaison and our IT team in discussing where communications lied previous to me joining the staff as liaison, and as is, I think we still have more questions that we'd like to work with the commission on in determining how we'd like to revamp that process, how we would like to move forward with that page itself. I think there is a little bit of a discrepancy between our understanding of what happened with the technology on the back end versus the conversations that I've heard separately. So I think this is an ongoing conversation that staff would like to have with the commission and kind of determine the best way to proceed moving forward. And there's been a significant amount of transition, and I think we would just like to iron all of that out with some more conversations.
Boy, who was that?
I wouldn't, it's almost June. I wouldn't waste too much time on archaeology. I think the important thing is making sure we have a robust grant application that's available to everyone, that's going to be easy to follow, and that we will meet the important timeframes. I agree it would be nice to know what happened, but quite frankly, that's less important than going forward.
Agreed, yeah.
Pamela?
The issue seemed to be, in the past, we need an active PDF file that people can fill out.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't be too difficult. And the other thing is, once somebody started their application, if they walked away from it, they lost it. So it has to be something that, it seems fairly simple, but an active PDF that you can start filling out, and then if you need to come back later, it's still there. It doesn't disappear. And then there were some anomalies in the text
Yeah,
too that
yeah.
were very strange.
It never went live, what we had, but who was the
No, it went live.
woman, the liaison? Well, but they just uploaded a PDF, it wasn't an active PDF. No, wait, it sounds like there's nothing, and we'll just continue to work on that, okay?
Appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially the active PDF part. We can certainly work forward on that end. Okay, and then so moving on to 9D, so miscellaneous report items. I put this in place just because I wanted to provide a brief overview of some of the items that I discussed with the chair, and I think he's brought that up today, related to process, just with myself and the agenda and with the administration of funds. So what I would like to do with the chair and with all of you is provide, as Smitty mentioned, a live working agenda that we would update on. It could be a monthly basis, on a weekly basis even, whereas that information will flow between Chair West and myself. But it provides everyone a chance to see at a glance what our next 3 to 5 meetings look like, what we would like to proceed with. We can have some strategic planning on a long-term basis. We can schedule in our presenters so we know exactly who's going to be coming forward, and we can have some early conversations to make sure that we have all the presentation materials in place. As well, we can also list any future items, so anything that we would like to start putting in place when we think we have space. And this is consistent with the other commissions. They have working agendas. Our city council has a working agenda. I think that would be appropriate for this commission as well. So I wanted to work with all of you to make sure.
I'm just
we proceed
curious
with
what
that.
format, what platform is this? Is this a shared document?
So it's literally a Word document. So it's
That's all right.
and this can be just bullet point. It's
I'm not
just
surprised.
super high level.
Quality.
Yeah, no, I think for us this is just a list and a reminder of what we would like to proceed with. So that's the goal, I think, just so we're super clear on what each meeting should consist of, and we can proceed. And it also include a due date for information to staff so that, we have an opportunity, myself and any other staff members, to mull over that information. I can work with finance on any financials and our management team to ensure that everything's approved and we have everything processed. Along with that, I'm going to create a template, and this is along with the other commissions as well, that will outline all of the information needed to be able to properly agendize and request city funds for any specific issue. So there will be a specific template. It'll have 6-7 categories, just very briefly, what we need in specifics to be able to get something on an agenda, properly create a staff report, and so that I can provide that documentation to finance and our city manager so that they can approve funds. So that's the goal. Okay.
May I? I think that's a great goal. I think it's hugely important, and the idea that staff will be taking a hand in doing this is quite a comfort to me. The other commissions you mentioned all have departments. So planning has a department, recreation has a department. We're sort of orphans here when it comes to attention from the city. And in my short time on this commission, we've had, I think you are our 6th liaison. So, I hope you're going to be with us for a long time. I hope you're going to put this structure in place because I think we would like it. There are some things I'm still waiting for. I'm waiting for that art advisors piece that's going to go out. We have been told by El Roblar that they intend to come back again with another project. They're supposed to have an art advisor. I trust you told them that because we asked you 2 meetings ago too. But we don't yet have a vibrant list.
Yeah, I can confirm that we've discussed with staff and that's something that we're proceeding with.
Great.
And I'll provide update
Great.
after. Yeah.
And you understand my anxiety is because this has been long simmering. So it's all a roundabout way to say thank you very much for instituting some formality and process here.
Process,
Thank you
yeah.
very much.
Because we could have a new liaison every week if the process was consistent, so.
But we don't want that. We want you.
I know, but we don't want it to be about Will either, because he's going to be
Appreciate
mayor.
that.
No, thank you.
You got more, Will?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. I did hear from Mayor Sticks, who's out of town, yes. So she's not here, but she asked Councilperson Rachel to come, and Rachel couldn't. But they pass along their best, and they apparently gave a nod out to the Arts Commission at the conclusion of the Tuesday meeting. She told me to tell you that. Thank you, guys. Commissioner comments. Let's go around the table. Let's start with a veteran. Yes.
Thank you. So I have a few things. This is fundraiser season. So this past weekend, both Karina and I went to the Carolyn Glasso Bailey Foundation's very successful gala. It was quite beautiful. Upcoming on Friday, May 31st, the Film Society is having a fundraiser. On Saturday, June 1st, the Taft Artist Residency is having a fundraiser. These were 2 organizations to which we gave far more in recommended grant money than they received, and they received far less than they deserved. And so this is not only a call out to the community to please support these entities, but specifically to Councilmember Rule and Councilmember Francina and Councilmember Lang, all of whom voted against these worthy organizations. We hope to see you at those fundraisers. And to Councilmember Whitman, who recused himself, although the City Council said he didn't need to. We hope to see him as well at these fundraisers. And then finally, prior to our next meeting, of course, the annual music festival, its 78th year, will be happening in early June. So we've got a lot going on, and it's all very exciting.
Thank you. Commissioner Grau? You got something
Well,
for us?
in addition to that calendar, we just finished a second Saturday this last weekend, which was very successful. The next one is June 8th, and it's the Arbolada, Miners Oaks, and a few Upper Ojai people. There's also, oh my goodness, I'm going blank.
That was
Focus,
Ojai Studio Artists was the
Ojai
last one.
Studio Artists, yes.
We.
And then Focus on the Masters is this weekend on Sunday, highlighting Katie Van Horn, an Ojai resident, a longtime artist here. And I think that's it. But I would love, if other people have calendar items, it's really important that we hear them and that the public hears them, because they come and go like, I missed the Carolyn Glasgow Bailey one because, I don't know, I missed it. So it's great to hear them.
Yeah, let's up that communication
And
budget
thank you all.
another 1,000.
I really
Carolyn.
love serving with all of you.
Commissioner David, you got some closing comments?
I really don't have any.
That's fine. Commissioner Wright?
I want to thank you for your leadership on Thursday. That was a great, great event.
Oh.
You shepherded them through. You were on time. You handled pretty much.
Pretty much.
Handled everybody with grace, and I think you made wonderful connections between our town and Ventura. So thank you for that.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And then the other comments I have are I want to find out how we get these people who present. What's the process there?
So this predated your time here, but I'm urging everyone to, I'm sort of in charge of that. It
Okay.
would be great if staff's in charge of it, but I don't mind continuing to do so. So just let me know if you have suggestions for community organizations to come talk to us, because it really is a wonderful, wonderful addition to these meetings.
One idea I've been thinking about was how to organize the youth more in our arts. And I know that, Pam, you're doing that mentorship, which I'm glad to hear about. But I was having this idea, I know we wanted to have a youth commissioner. That was on the plan.
Guess if it's in the plan.
It's in the plan.
Yeah.
And I was kind of trying to think what they would do and if there was work for them. And I thought if we could figure out a task, they would obviously be great to present at our meetings. And one thing I thought of was for them to maybe highlight one of the artists from our city collection that they could research and present, a overview. So they might have some enriching experience and obviously get more experience public speaking, bringing in somebody from the AP Art at Nordhoff to present their portfolio, or just, trying to involve more of the teens in what we're doing in some way here in the chamber, opposed as well as the mentorship. So things to think about.
Thank you. And I'll just close by a special call out to, well, let me do my plug then for the Ojai Community Chorus, who's a grants recipient, and their concert this weekend, which Ojai has supported, is at the Methodist Church Saturday night at 7, and there's a Sunday matinee, and it features the Ojai Community Chorus under the direction of Connie something, who has been 20 years driving up from Studio City to direct them, and it's delightful. So if you're looking for something to do there, plug out to that arts organization. Special thank you to our newest commissioners, David and Karina, for jumping right in, for just absolutely, again, sticking out when you need to and blending in when you need to as well. But particularly, the Thursday I was able to pull that together because you guys, you did all the stuff I couldn't do. So thank you for that. Special nod to city staff. Will, I get it, what you're doing, we get it, we understand. And we want to, we want to know how we can support you to support us, you know what I mean? Because I think, I want you to get a sense that everyone, each of these commissioners here volunteering their time really has their eye on how arts can be the answer, you know, to any question. And you're our really only connection right now directly to the rest of the government in Ojai. And so we both thank you and depend on you, and we'll fight for you, but we'll fight you too. But we recognize everything that, everything is, I don't know, we recognize everything that's going over there, but I know you're wearing a lot of hats, like a lot of people too here. So, with that, Christine and Pamela, as always, my term actually expires like next week or something like that, but they told me just keep working. So,
Will there be an election?
no, they're gonna sort that out later in the year. They say I can continue on until they do that. I actually got a little list of everyone's terms here, which.
Well, I think we want you to continue on,
I know
yes.
you
I
do.
mean,
I know you do, but
before you hit that gavel, just
someone might
plan.
want to- Yeah, for the last
Stay.
time now. So with that, we're conclude this meeting until next month's, and adjourn? Okay, adjourn.
You're adjourning, yes.
Thank you, James.